Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Bhaktyāloka very beautifully he elaborates on this point of Sangha Tyaga. And he says Sangha Tyaga is one of the important element, one of the 6 important elements for advancing in devotional service. First he elaborated on Utsaha, then Nischaya, Dhairya, Tat Karma Pravartanat, and now he talks about Sangha Tyaga. And very beautifully he describes that there are 2 types of Sangha. Now just before this verse, Jana Sangha was discussed. And there we elaborately discussed about associating with people. Which people to associate, or to be more precise, which people not to associate. That was elaborate description. And now in this article, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is elaborating on 2 aspects. First one is association, and second one is attachment. And both of it he calls it as Sangha. And he says Sangha Tyaga, it has to be given up. In the attachment, again there are 2 categories that he puts. One is association of non-devotees, and second association of women. Both have to be given up. And in attachment also he gives 2 categories. In attachment he says attachment to prejudice or pre-notions, prejudices, and the second one is attachment to one's own assets. So we'll try to discuss these in detail. Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha, that verse, the 2 verses, 262 and 63. And then he says, a practitioner should always remember this instruction of the Lord. Because in that, Lord is talking about meditating on sense objects and what happens, how the person gets destroyed, vinashyati. Then he says, if a practitioner engages in prohibited association, then gradually his attachment increases. So, knowingly or unknowingly, if our association with prohibited items goes on increasing, this is what will happen. That is, our attachment will go on increasing. The more this attachment increases, what happens? More this firm faith in the supreme goal decreases, diminishes. So all this attachment that we're talking about will affect our conviction towards attaining the ultimate goal. Now when it comes to a living entity, in the constitutional state, in the liberated state, he is Jivera Swarupoy Krishna Nityadas, he is servant of Krishna. And being servant of Krishna, he'll never come in association of Maya. He will not. So that is called as proper Sangha, pure Sangha. But as soon as he is conditioned in this material world, what happens? His Sangha becomes polluted because now he associates with Maya. And this is very, very difficult because by this he will not be able to advance in Krishna consciousness. Association of non-devotees and women and attachments for family and assets is unfavorable for advancement in Krishna consciousness. And then he begins describing. Now, first and foremost thing, when we're talking about association and attachment, let's try to understand what is association. Now, when it comes to association, just interacting with people around or being in close proximity of some people, that will not say, or that will not be a line which we can call it as association. No. That is just interaction or proximity. But association means the 6 loving exchanges. Priti Lakshanam. Dadati pratigranati guyam akhyati prachati bhungte bhojayate chaiva. Shadvida Priti Lakshanam. So, Dadati pratigranati, giving gifts, receiving gifts. Guyam akhyati prachati. confidentially revealing one's heart to other person and hearing his heart in confidence. Then bhungte bhojayate chaiva, feeding prasad, receiving prasad. And see, last line is very important. This is called as Preeti Lakshanam. If it is done out of love, then it becomes association. Now, it might happen that some beggar comes and then the beggar is asking for money and we give money. Now, that is also charity. But is it Preeti Lakshanam? Is it out of love? No. Just as a duty. Some beggar has come, I have to give something. Or giving food to someone. Say in the office table we're sitting and then the person shares his lunchbox with some other person. Now, if it is just out of duty because, okay, I'm sitting here with others and it's very important that I should follow the social etiquettes, and then he gives out of duty, then that is still accepted. But out of love, oh, my friend also should eat nicely, and then you give with love, then that becomes association. Now, speaking casually, just for getting some work done, that is not association. But revealing one's heart in confidence, now you cannot say that is not out of love. That will be out of love and affection. Because you have confidence in some person, therefore you're revealing your heart so that it becomes association. And now someone else is coming and pouring his love onto you, his or her love onto you, by speaking confidentially. So we also hear with affection. That is association. Therefore, association should be clear. The definition should be clear. Activities done out of duty will not be called as association, but those activities done out of love and affection, that will be called as association. Very, very important. Now, let's try to understand these two associations which Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants us to give up. The first one is non-devotee association. He says give up. Now, who are non-devotees? The definition that he gives is, those who are not subordinate to the Lord, they are called non-devotees. And then he gives a lot of categories of non-devotees. First, he gives the category of jnanis. He says jnanis are non-devotees. Why? Because they think that they can become one with the Lord on the strength of their own knowledge. And jnanis, for them, jnana is the topmost object. Lord cannot keep one who attains jnana under his control. That's what they think. If I attain knowledge, then Lord cannot keep me under his control. Lord became supreme. How Lord became supreme? By the strength of this jnana. And I too will become supreme. Now people who think like that, they are non-devotees. They are not subordinate to the Lord. And these personalities, all their endeavors are to become independent of the Lord. They don't want to be under someone. The Lord's power does not act on one who achieves liberation in the form of merging with the Lord, which is attained by jnana. So they are like, if I merge in that Brahman, then no one will control me. There is no Lord that will control me. Jnanis and mundane scholars do not depend on the mercy of the Lord. So first is they want to become independent of the Lord. Second aspect to understand is they don't depend on the mercy of the Lord. They try to achieve everything on the strength of their own knowledge and reasoning. They do not care for Lord's mercy. Although some jnanis accept devotional service. Now someone might say, no, I have seen some jnanis doing devotional service. They also offer bhoga, they also do arati. But as they progress on their path, at the end, they discard a devotional service. Anyways, I have attained perfection. Why to do bhakti now? In all their activities, there are no symptoms of eternal serving mood or subordination to the Lord. So wherever you see those people who don't have the loving service mood towards the Lord or the mood of subordination towards the Lord, they are non-devotees. First thing, jnanis. Karmis, people who have faith in fruitive rituals. By doing this, I'll get this. They are called as non-devotees. That karma which yields mundane results or mundane knowledge is adverse to the Lord. Is what obvious. Wherever there is sense gratification, we cannot get closer to the Lord. And these people are aspiring for sense gratification. So they are non-devotees. And these people also, they do not exclusively search for the mercy of Krishna. That's another problem. The devotees are the ones who search for the mercy of Krishna. But non-devotees, these karmis, they don't search for the mercy of Krishna. Although they respect Krishna, their main purpose is to attain some kind of happiness. Okay, I respect him so that I get something from him, so that I can become happy. So they are the ones who will come and ask various things, etc. Karma is nothing but selfish activities, therefore karmis are also non-devotees. So whatever activities they're doing, you will find such people doing good to others, not harming someone, etc. Such people come under this category. They don't want to attain Krishna. They don't want to receive mercy of Krishna. They don't want to depend on the Lord for advancement in bhakti, but they just want to live a nice life. And such people are also non-devotees. Third category he gives is yogis. Now these people, so this is another praman that how Ashtanga Yoga is not an independent yoga system. Here he says, yogis sometimes search for liberation. Now liberation is what? The fruit of jnana. And sometimes they search for vibhuti or opulence. And that is fruit of karma. So in this way, these yogis, either they will tend towards jnana or they will tend towards karma. So they are not independent yoga system. Either they can be jnani or they can be a karmi. Now these are the three categories that he describes. And then he says something heavy for ordinary people to digest. He says, due to lack of full surrender to Krishna, even the worshippers of Devi Devtas, they are not devotees. Now I thought it was just Prabhupada who would say this. No, it's in line. Now all our acharyas say the same thing, partially. And then there are few who are categorized as others. Who are they? Those who are attached to discussing dry logic, and those who speak, who conclude that Lord is only a figment of imagination, they are non-devotees. They are atheistic, so they are non-devotees. And those who are attached to sense gratification and thus have no opportunity to remember the Lord are also counted among non-devotees. So these are different categories of non-devotees. First is karmi, second jnani, yogi, the demigod worshippers, and the atheists who are there. So in this way, these are all different categories of non-devotees. And then he says, very important, if one associates with non-devotees, these categories of non-devotees, then what happens? In a very short time, one's intelligence is polluted and one's heart is overcome by their propensities. Now, we might be having a pure desire to serve the Lord, attain Krishna, this life, etc. But just by associating with these people, now see, most of them, with the categories which I just described, you will see most of them are pious. They are not doing adharmic activities. So if we by chance associate with them thinking, oh, he's a good person, it's very nice, what happens? This is the thing that will happen. One's intelligence will get polluted and our heart will be overcome by their propensities. We will also start thinking like them. If anyone desires to attain pure devotional service, then he should carefully give up the association of non-devotees. Therefore, see, when we read the Shastra carefully, we'll understand who are actually non-devotees. Externally seeming pious people also belong to this category because their intentions, their propensities are not proper. They are contaminated, those are polluted. So one should give up such association. Now, second category is women. One should give up the association of women. In the previous class where I spoke about Janasanga, so I was describing whatever Bhakti Vinoda Thakur gave, and some places it was given about women, one shouldn't associate with women. So one Mataji from other congregation, she came and she was like, Prabhuji, it was very depressing to hear your class. And after hearing that class, I was cursing myself why I took birth as a woman. See, we have to understand when this word woman comes in Shastra. Obviously, it talks about opposite gender. So for a male, it is female. And for a female, when it says woman, it means male. So opposite gender is what it means. But obviously, while describing in Shastra, it will be described as a female. So one should understand that if a person is a female, then she should understand that yes, I should be not associating with this category of males. And when it comes to men in general, they should understand I shouldn't be associating with this category of females. So now here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing Sanatana Goswami. There's a quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita where he says, Asat Sanga Tyage Vaishnavacha Stri Sangi Eka Asadu Krishna Bhaktar. He says, Asat Sanga Tyag Ei Vaishnavachar. Now someone might ask, okay, to give up association of non-devotees, but who are they? I also want to become a Vaishnava. If I give up their association, I'll become a Vaishnava. So whose association should I give up? First he says, Stri Sangi. So Stri and Stri Sangi. Woman and woman monglers. Asadu and Krishna Abhakta. So these are the people whose association I should give up. Common people are very much materially attached, especially to women. Vaishnavas should also avoid the company of those who are not devotees of Lord Krishna. Now there are two types of devotees. Renunciants and householders. Two categories. For renunciants, he says, renunciants are forbidden from speaking with any woman. By the instruction to give up the association with women, they have been forbidden from conversing with women also. So there is no question of ghusud with any woman, with any female. So any renunciant. And whenever we say renunciant, it means male renunciant. There is no question of female renunciants in Shastra. I remember I was in book distribution in some place, and then when Mataji came, and she was asking, so what all rules you people follow in the ashram? I said, why you want to know? So she said, because I am also planning to join ashram. But I said, Shastrically it is not valid. No, leave all that. I have planned already. So I will also be a renunciant like you people. So what all you people do? You all sleep on the floor. You all eat only once. What do you all do? I said, we don't do anything, Hare Krishna. Something nonsense. Renunciants means male renunciants. It is not Stri Dharma to take up to renunciation. And go out wearing white saris and shaving the head and not combing the hair. Nonsense. That is all nonsense. Therefore, there's so much of adultery that takes place because of that. Therefore, renunciants means male renunciants. And for them, conversing with a female in any ways is not allowed. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not happy with such people. And Chota Haridas is the example. Now talking about householders. Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur, being a householder, gives an elaborate description about householders. He says, householders should not associate with others' wives or prostitutes. Now sometimes people feel that if I get married, I can talk to any female. I can have confidential talks. Guhyam akhyati prachati. To any female. No. Here he says that there is no question of association with other women other than one's own wife. They should not indulge in any association other than with their own wives according to religious scriptures. One should give up the mentality of being excessively fond of one's wife. Now there are two things. One is not associating with others' wives and becoming excessively attached and fond of one's own wife. That also is not correct. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. A householder Vaishnava always works together with his wife with the aim of achieving transcendental happiness. So there are two categories. One is getting rid of frustration of this world. That is called as Sayujya Mukti. And second is transcendental happiness, the other four muktis. Salokya, Sarshti, Samipya and Sarupya. So attaining that. So that is called as transcendental happiness. Therefore here it is said that both male and female, husband and wife, they work together. When I say work together, what does that mean? They follow Varna Dharma and Ashram Dharma very carefully. Because without the help of wife, the husband cannot follow Varnashrama Dharma. So he needs a wife. Therefore, with wife, what is he doing? Following the Dharma. And here it is said, although engaged in all work in this way, he never becomes excessively fond of his wife. Therefore, when someone practices the injunctions given in Shastra, unnecessarily he will not get attached to his own wife also. But he'll be together, he'll be with his wife, he'll do his duties, he'll do whatever is needful, but he'll not get excessively fond of his wife. In this way, he remains free from women association throughout his life. Can you imagine? He is in association with women, but still not in association with women. He totally gives up illicit, intimate speaking with women and mundane mood of excessive fondness in illicit association with his wife. So one is, there's no question of associating with other females. And with his own wife also, he does not have that mundane mood of excessive attachment and fondness towards his own wife. For the karmi is mentioned by the Lord in this verse, Trivarga is the only prescribed occupation. So see, there are karmis. For them it's only dharma, artha, kama. There's nothing beyond that for them. A simple example. Dharma is offer green leaves, green grass to cow. That is dharma. Now when it comes to artha and kama, it means milking the cow and drinking the milk. That is artha and kama. As simple as that. So for them, it's only Trivarga. There's nothing beyond that. But those who have become indifferent and attained jnana, for them, there is no longer need of Trivarga activities. They give up those activities and become eligible for sannyas with dry knowledge. So this is something that we have been discussing. So there's no question of varnashrama dharma for them. They take up sannyas and they have different activities to perform. Those who are faithful in hearing the topics of the Lord after receiving His mercy on the strength of their accumulated pious activities from many lifetimes are no longer attached to karma and they are called Vaishnavas. Those who have a lot of spiritual punya, they have got developed that taste for hearing about the Lord and rendering service to the Lord, they are the ones who are called as Vaishnavas. They are no longer attached to the ordinary activities of this world. So we should analyze if we have really come to that platform. This for the Grihastha devotees. If you have really come to that platform of having that attachment for hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, then one can give up the ordinary activities of this world. Otherwise, one should follow his duty. Whatever his duty is in that situation, he should follow. Now he says, among them, those who are grihasthas. Now, karmis, jnanis and Vaishnavas. Among them, those who are grihasthas enjoy whatever artha they obtain while practicing dharma for the purpose of liberation. Now, dharma for liberation, when they are practicing that and whatever artha comes, they enjoy that. They don't go and deviate on the wrong path of adharma. Not for the purpose of sense gratification for sure. This artha helps them purely maintain their lives in the favorable cultivation of Krishna consciousness with the purpose of understanding the absolute truth. So both husband and wife, they aspire to attain the higher destination and they follow dharma required for that. And therefore they will not get into sense gratification, they will not get affected by sense gratification. Then he says, therefore to attain the mercy of the Lord, a grihastha Vaishnav, what he should do? He should accept the divisions of varnashrama along with his wife and practice dharma, artha, kama and moksha in order to maintain his life. See, sometimes when this clarity is not there, sometimes grihasthas, they feel depressed. Oh, mera kuch nahi ho sakta. No, if we follow dharma, then kuch ho sakta hai. Yes. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. One should follow his dharma very properly. Whenever his house becomes unfavorable for this purpose, now say he's trying his best, to do these different activities in cooperation of his wife, but if his family becomes unfavorable, what he should do? He should give it up out of disgust and leave the family. Thus, by properly performing the activities of Trivarga, the Grihastha Vaishnav's character becomes pure. See, every ashram is meant for purification. Brahmachari ashram has got its own rules and regulations to follow. By following that, we'll become pure. When it comes to grihasthas, these are different injunctions. If they follow that, they'll become pure. So in this way, both the ashrams, they have their own set of rules and regulations to be followed to become purified. Finally, the goal of the ashram is to get purified and come back to Godhead. Therefore, this is very, very important. With such pure characteristics, he should hear, chant and remember the name, form, qualities and pastimes of the Lord with full surrender. Now this is valid for both. Therefore, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is, doesn't matter you're a grihastha or a brahmachari, one should give up the association with women. So these are the two types of association. First is association of, second, woman. Now, the third or the second category, he speaks about attachment. He spoke about association with non-devotees and women. Now he speaks about attachment to two things again. Prejudices or preconceived opinion. And second thing that he speaks about is attachment to assets. So let's discuss the first one. There are two types of prejudice: ancient and current. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very technical. I love his articles. Very technically he plays logically different things. So even if you close your eyes and try to categorize, okay, association, non-devotees, women, and attachment, okay, prejudice and assets. And then we can contemplate on it and try to give it up. So prejudice, he says, ancient. So what do you mean by ancient? The conditioned living entity has been performing fruitive activities and endeavoring for knowledge since time immemorial. And the prejudices that have developed in a subtle body as a result are called ancient prejudices. And those prejudices are known as one's nature. Sometimes you see, iska nature hi aisa hai. What does that mean? From past many lifetimes, those impressions which he has got on his subtle body has caused him to act like this in this current life. Like for example, association with karma and jnana is a result of attachment born from ancient prejudices. Now sometimes you will see people are very much attached to impersonalism, very much attached to fruitive activities. And even after hearing so many classes, they are not able to give it up. They'll still keep saying that. I still remember there was one boy who was staying. I think he stayed in the base for some time and then he was removed from the base. He used to come for the classes. And he would hear very attentively whatever is spoken. But as soon as the talk starts about Lord has a form and impersonalism is bogus, he would get completely fiery. And at the end of the class, his questions would be only on this. That how Lord does not have a form and how impersonalism is valid. And he would hear so many classes, pious boy, he was having this, taking only prasad, very strict, with his brahmacharya, etc., etc. But, kya kare? Notion. Preconceived notion of the past because of whatever reasons. He was so attracted towards impersonalism. And now he went to some other organization in some other state and he has joined ashram there. And he had come here and he said, Prabhuji, now I am also like you all, brahmachari. I was telling him, no mind, you're not like us, Baba. And you're going to go to hell because of all this. Because the entire conception of impersonalism makes the person to offend the Lord in various ways. Another devotee, maybe that will come in the next category and we'll discuss at that time. Here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, association with these ancient prejudices is inevitable. See what he says. Despite all attempts up to one's suicide, he cannot give it up. He cannot give it up. Means he says, no, I want to give it up. I want to give it up, this particular prejudice which I have. Even if he tries to commit suicide, he'll not be able to give up. Now it has become his nature. And what are the current prejudices? Current ones are what? The attachments for good and bad attained in this life due to association. They are called as modern prejudices or current prejudices. So I was speaking about this devotee. So initially he came in touch with some organizations which were preaching impersonalism. And he accepted, yes, there is no form of Lord. And now somehow he got detached from there, maybe by past pious credits, spiritual punya. Maybe some devotee pulled him to ISKCON. And after coming to ISKCON, he got to know that Lord is a person. Now for him to accept Lord as a person was a nightmare. He would see Lord as some person sitting to find his faults and just to punch him all the time. For him it became very, very difficult. It was a nightmare. After many counseling sessions, then he became somewhat normal, but still it becomes very difficult for him at times when this discussion happens about impersonalism and personalism. So many times this particular thing will happen. So many times. Therefore, this is called as current prejudice. Not just this is personal impersonalism. For those devotees who have got a lot of spiritual punya from the past, they think, ये कैसे accept करता है impersonal? Lord is impersonal. How? Lord is not having any. How can they accept? It is so simple. Krishna has a form, threefold bending form with holding a flute with Srimati Radharani. Simple. Why these people are having so much of tough time? If we will not understand that, very difficult. But they will not understand what we are accepting. And they will think, how are these people accepting that Lord has a form? समझ नहीं आता है. So this is one aspect. Now sometimes it happens that spiritual punya is there. But right from childhood, the person has been cultivated in some certain way. Like for example, those people who worship Sai Baba or something like that. Now according to them, Sai Baba is an incarnation of Krishna and Ram or whatever. No reference to Shastra. There's no Shastra talking about it. Now when they come to Krishna consciousness, so for them to chant Hare Krishna only becomes very difficult. There's one lady who was coming for our sessions. Even now, she is attending some ISKCON session somewhere. For them, she says, I'll chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Along with that, I'll also chant Om Sai Ram. For her to give up that chanting is very difficult. And then, for other people, to give up demigod worship becomes very difficult. The Shaivites who come to Krishna consciousness and become Vaishnavas, for them it's very difficult. How can I not chant Om Namah Shivaya? How I'm supposed to chant only Hare Krishna Mahamantra? And those people who come from the background of chanting Gayatri Mantra, etc., for them also it becomes very difficult. Oh, I cannot chant Gayatri till I get second initiation? Only Mahamantra? Now people who come with clean slate and become devotees, and when they become preachers, for them they scratch their head. Arey bhai, problem kya hai? There is a chant only Hare Krishna. Samajh kyun nahi aa raha hai tujhe? For them it becomes very difficult, to accept. And they'll come also and say, Prabhu, isko problem kya hai? Samajh nahi aa raha hai isko. Usko samajh nahi aayega because that is the modern current prejudice that he has got. And for people, when they decide to worship only Krishna and to give up demigod worship, again it's very difficult for them to give it up. So in this way, we see all these different things coming into picture. And the most hilarious nahi bol sakte, there's a very serious thing. Say a person comes from, again, in the Vaishnava community only, say he comes from a Sri Vaishnava background and he becomes a Gaudiya Vaishnava. Now he wants to see Radha Krishna dressed in that attire, like Tirupati Balaji or Padmavati Devi. And you will see the leader of that particular branch of ISKCON, will have again and again dressed Radha and Krishna as Vishnu and Lakshmi. You will see that. Even the Utsav that happens, they'll have this different Utsav where Radha and Krishna are carried on Garuda and carried on various other vahanas like Hanuman and this and that. And even their Julan Utsav, now when it comes to us, we have the mood, or we are expected to have the mood that how the Julan is decorated in Vrindavan. Now when the Julan is decorated with Tomala and all that, you understand Tomala? The huge garland that is made with different colors. That is offered for the Vishnu Murtis. So those things are used, and at that time, even when they're sitting on Jula, the Shringar is that of Venkateshwara Swami and Padmavati Devi. Now this is called as prejudice, the current prejudice. For them, now to shift from 400 form to the 200 form becomes very difficult. And for them, even if they see Krishna, they see Vishnu. But a Gaudiya Vaishnava, when he sees Vishnu, he sees Krishna. Now again, this is prejudice. So from a very, very low level, prejudice can be there, till a very high level of this 200 and 400 form of the Lord. Very difficult for people. Therefore, Raghunath Das Goswami, he writes in his Mana Shiksha that one has to give up this abominable attachment to the 400 form of the Lord. Now that is the mood of a Gaudiya Vaishnava. So the point that I'm trying to make is, to be a very kattar Gaudiya Vaishnava becomes very difficult for those people who have all these prejudice, accepting only worshipping Radha Krishna. Not going to any other dham, just going to Vrindavan, Mayapur and Jagannath Puri. In fact, for some people who are attached to only Jagannath in Orissa, for them it's difficult to accept that Jagannath is Krishna. I've met so many people like that. They're like, Jagannath is not Krishna. Jagannath is higher than Krishna. Arey Baba, Jagannath is Krishna. No, aap samajh nahi rahe. It's so difficult for them to accept. Now, in this way, we see that all these prejudice, the preconceived notions, either of the past life or the present life, does not allow the person to advance in bhakti. So, the solution kya hai iska? What is the solution? The solution is, only solution is sadhu sangha, association of fixed up devotees. By sadhu sangha, one can reform the attachment to prejudice. The only remedy for this disease is sadhu sangha. Due to association with materialistic people, the living entity is bound in the cycle of birth and death. Even if one unknowingly associates with a materialist, the result must come. And if one unknowingly associates with a sadhu, the result must come. That's the greatness. Therefore it is said, sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koy. Lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. That's the power of sadhu sangha. And we are expected to be sat sadhus, by the way. And in Shastra, we have the example of the great sadhu Narada Muni. He delivered the two hunters. One was Mrigari, he became a great Vaishnav. And another one was Ratnakar, who became Valmiki. So in this way, we see that how just by sadhu sangha, the person can transform his preconceived notions. Here it is said, Srila Ramanujacharya, he says, if you cannot purify yourself by any endeavor whatsoever, then just go and sit with the Vaishnavas and you will achieve all auspiciousness. By observing the pure characteristics of a devotee, in a very short time, a person's mind has changed. His attachment for sense enjoyment decreases, and the seedling of bhakti sprouts in his heart. One even gradually develops a taste for Vaishnava's food and behavior. And I think all of us have experienced this. Just by being in the association of Vaishnavas, especially those strict Vaishnavas, we will also develop, that mood. And all that prejudice that was there will be removed. We'll start liking only prasad. We'll start liking the Vaishnava etiquette. We want to be like that. That's the glory of Vaishnava association. I was contemplating on this point, that how just by being in the association, all these things will happen. See, when we start developing attachment to a Vaishnava, and we have strong prejudice, but because that Vaishnava whom I love, he is saying, I'll accept. And we endeavor to modify the impressions that we have. And by his prayers, by attachment to him, by his instructions, what happens? Slowly and steadily, we start becoming one-pointed devotees of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Tab tak it's very difficult. Therefore, at least there should be one Vaishnava in our life whom we are attached to. Therefore, you will see those devotees who have all this prejudice, even for that matter us also, will have this, मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता है करना, but प्रभु जी ने कहा है, महाराज ने कहा है, so I'll do. Because he's attached to a Vaishnava. Therefore, there's a scope for improvement and becoming one-pointed devotee of the Lord. By associating with Vaishnavas, people have given up many anarthas. Taste for associating with women. Sometimes the brahmacharis say, मेरा कोई plan नहीं था brahmachari बनने का. Oh Prabhu ji, I just associated with him and everything is gone. Just association and everything is gone. I don't have any desire now to get married or to associate with any woman or whatever. Thirst for wealth. Desire for sense enjoyment and liberation. Now even Grihastha devotees I have heard saying this. Prabhuji associated with that devotee, that brahmachari or that vanaprastha devotee, and just by associating with them and seeing their mood of no attachment to wealth or whatever, even I have developed that. And life is so blissful now. I'm no more aspiring for promotions and this and that, but still Krishna is providing whatever is needed. Prabhuji, it's blissful, it's a miracle. It's the miracle of the association. And that's a fact. Eating meat and fish drinking wine, smoking tobacco, chewing pan. As soon as a person comes in ISKCON and associates with a newly practicing devotee who is practicing only for a few months, he can give it up easily. Because this new devotee will beat him like anything. Give it up, give up, give up. And it is seen so many times only by associating with that follow-up volunteer. The person has given up alcohol, meat, etc. Can you imagine? And the person can also give up the inclination for karma and jnana. Person can give up inclination towards impersonalism just by association with devotees. And by observing a strict Vaishnava of the qualities like not uselessly wasting time, people have given up many such anarthas like laziness, oversleeping, useless talk, urge of speech, etc. Such a glorious aspect this is. In fact, with me also many times it happens when I associate with a Vaishnava. And just by looking at the simplicity, no duplicity, no complication, there's a desire that pops in saying, oh, even I want to become simple like him. Even I want to chant like him. Even I want to develop that mood of intensity of getting closer to Krishna. Naturally it comes. We were sitting, I think, in Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj's class. And the way he was speaking with so much of humility and the way he was answering his questions, my heart was like, I want to become like this person. Such a wonderful sannyasi. And in his Vyasa Puja, they had given one photo of his, with a coat. I had kept it on my table. Somehow it is missing now. So whenever I used to see that, I used to remember the talk that we had with him. Just one meeting, I think we had with him. Whenever I would see that, I would feel that I want to become pure like him. I want to become humble like him. And when some anartha would pop up, and just by looking at this photo, such things will happen. Oh no, I want to become like him. For a long time, this was helping me in various ways. So in this way, we see just by association with a sadhu, all these different things will manifest in our life. Therefore, it is said that associating with Vaishnavas for some time, even cheating propensity and desire for fame gets destroyed. Very, very important. We might get stuck in that final stage of Pujala Pratishtha. Even that can get destroyed by this. Just by associating with a sadhu who is free from all this. So this is regarding attachment to prejudice. Now the last one, which is very short. Attachment to material assets. People have spontaneous attachment for house, household paraphernalia, clothes, ornaments, wealth, wife, children's health, their own health, eatables, trees and animals. Some people are so addicted to smoking, chewing pan, eating fish, meat, drinking alcohol that their practice of spiritual life is obstructed. They're attached to all these different assets, which are there. So many people do not respect the Lord's remnants out of great attachment to eating things like fish. Now, since Bhaktivinoda Thakur is in West Bengal, he says especially fish. Because of the desire to constantly smoke, many people's study of devotional scriptures, relishing, hearing and chanting and remaining long in temples is obstructed. Since they're attached to some assets, it's very difficult for them to do these devotional activities in a very much focused way. Attachment for these things is easily destroyed. Again, the point that is made is association of devotees. But along with that, it is said that one should try to destroy these petty attachments by fully engaging in devotional service. By observing vows approved in devotional service, those attachments are vanquished. So different vratas that we do, it helps one to get rid of these attachments. Like for example, Ekadashi Vrata, Kartik Vrata, Chaturmas Vrata, all these different vratas, or even fasting on the days of appearance of the Lord, like Janmashtami, Ramnavami, etc., helps the person to get rid of these attachments. Like for example, when someone takes up this vrata, say Kartik Vrata for that matter, or even for that matter Ekadashi, person fasts from essential items also like food and water. And also at the same time, there are injunctions where he follows. If he follows, that is actually vrata. What are those injunctions? One has to maintain celibacy. One has to chant so many rounds. Now what happens? Naturally, the person starts developing that detachment from various assets which are there. Some people have vrata saying, I'll give so and so charity to the temple. This much of percentage, I'll give. So with time, he starts developing the detachment towards various assets, that he has. And here it is said that one of the limbs of vrata is to diminish the devotee's propensity for enjoyment. But if he thinks, today somehow or the other, I'll renounce, but tomorrow I'll enjoy profusely. Here it is said, then the purpose of the vow will not be successful. The purpose of the vow will not be successful. This is the reason. The reason is that the vows have been prescribed to give up the association of such items by gradual practice. Therefore, any vrata that is taken, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, it's at least for 3 days. Therefore, Ekadashi is also 3 days. Dashami, Ekadashi, Dvadashi. Anyways, it's okay. We'll not focus so much on this. But the vratas that we have taken in our life, which is given by Srila Prabhupada to all of us, is following 4 regulative principles. See, anyone who takes up this vrata of following 4 regulative principles is, or that person can easily overcome various attachment to the assets that he has. Whatever it might be, he'll be able to get rid of it. If he starts endeavoring towards gross and subtle, both, if he starts following meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication, both on gross and subtle platform, he tries to give it up, we will see that how the person will get detached from the various assets that he's attached to. And if someone gets into preaching, I have seen my Grahastha counselees. They're so intense in their preaching, their vrata is to preach. And naturally, I can see they're least bothered about assets of the family. Assets of whatever they have in the family. They want to use everything in service of Krishna. So the vrata that is given to us by Srila Prabhupada is minimum chanting 16 rounds, following 4 regulative principles, both on gross and subtle platform, and preaching. Till the life is there, we will preach. That's the mood that is given to us by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and he received it from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prana achhe jar sehetu prachar. Therefore, in conclusion, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, give it up. Give up the association and give up the attachment. Give up the association to non-devotees and opposite gender. And second one, give up the attachment to prejudice and assets. Thank you very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.